Free time. Hello, can you hear me now? If I was sitting here talking and you couldn't hear me, it was probably because this microphone was too far away, and then it was canceling out with the noise gate that I have on here. So let's just check and see. Is this working now? Well, also, if so what would I do? I would have to somehow hear it on the other end, or I would have to have someone tell me that they can hear it in order for me to know. Because otherwise, well, I'll just assume that maybe now it's working, because as far as I can tell, no one is actually listening or telling me if the audio is working or not. So I don't know that. Okay, so now if the audio is working, and because this is live, I won't be able to go back and fix all the part that was messed up before. But that's the way it is. And it's like that a lot in trading as well, because we are trading live in the real world. And that's what's so exciting about it. So maybe you didn't hear any of the stuff that I was saying before. And if anybody is still sitting there after watching a video with no audio and still watching, then I can explain what it was that I was saying before. Okay, here's the bottom line. What I'm showing here is how to trade, and that's what I do live every day. And I was explaining the fact that for me, the number of times that I would enter a trade is around 2 to 5 times total during a week. The number of times, because there's only a certain time when I would enter. And once you learn how this works, you'll see that those times correspond to the times when the market is turning. If you get into a trade and the market's not turning, how will that work out? Well, I don't know. People have a lot of different ways of trading the market, but with the logic that I see, the market is forming patterns, and when you identify that a pattern has completed and is turning, and then you're able to get in there at that point, then that would enable you to get profit. So if you're doing anything other than that, well, I don't see how you would get profit. Maybe you could explain that to me. If you have another way of trading, just put your comments below and let me know. And I know that there is a, just by the way, I know that there is a way of trading that based on trend following. So when you are trading based on trend following, that means that the longer time frame is in a trend, and then every time on a shorter time frame, there's an end of a correction and a reversal, you would get in. So that's what I'm doing, is whenever there's an end of a correction causing a reversal of the market, that's when I would get in. And I'm able to do that over and over in a way that sometimes it amazes myself. I'm actually amazed right now and enjoying it. But today I identified this point as a turning point. You might, if you were trading and you saw today there was Kiwi news, there was Aussie news, the Euro Aussie was going up, and when it went up, I said, I'm not getting in that, because I'm looking for an end of this correction and I'm expecting that it's going to turn. But that was the news of the day. I don't know what was going to cause it to turn, but whenever I can see a pattern that needs to complete, something will always happen to cause it to complete. And today it was some news about a little bit of a breakthrough with the possibility of there being trade agreements with the US and China. And so that actually caused an end of a correction. Let me show you that on a couple other pairs. So in just a moment, you're going to see a picture of a classic impulsive wave followed by a corrective wave. You can see a little bit better. Oh, yes. This is the most obvious thing for those of us who know how to trade, but that doesn't include everyone. But this is the most obvious thing that you would ever see. If you can identify the impulsive part of this and the corrective part of this and the turning point, that is how you trade. Okay, so now we're done and you know how to trade. Well, if you don't totally know how to trade, we can work on that, because that's what we do every day, twice a day, sometimes 3 times per day, live every day. So today I have recordings of this. We could make a new video where I show what we did live, which would already be in the past. But as far as entering the trade live on YouTube, I don't always get the opportunity to do that, because it's only 2 to 5 times per week, and the number of times when I would be live on YouTube is maybe 1 time, and it's this time, and the likelihood that there's going to be a trade right at this time is not really all that high. But if there was a trade right at this time, then we would enter it live. So that turned out to be a perfect end of a correction. But I realized that for most traders, the problem is that they have so many limiting beliefs and so much negative thoughts. People are so freaking negative about trading, and don't you think that that might be why you have such a difficult time with it? Is if you hate brokers, you hate people who are showing you how to trade, you hate trading, all these things, there's inner conflicts, and people are so frustrated, and that's the thing that's causing people to not have good results. So because of that, if I were to show you exactly how to trade right here, right now, so many people would just cancel it right out, so that it'd be like they didn't even hear it or they didn't even see it. Now, what I'm showing you right here is that this is an impulsive movement, and that this is a corrective movement. And the reason for entering this, which, by the way, this is going to keep going for several days, and I'm going to stay in this, and I'll show you later. Maybe I'll show you when I exit this trade. But that is why I entered. So let me know in the comments if there's any part of that that you don't understand. Does that make sense? One thing that I've noticed is that if people have in their mind that they don't want to get in when there's an end of a correction, and there's nothing I could say, well, do you see that? If you don't see it, well, the best thing for you to do is to go away and do something that you do want to do. You don't want to get in when it's would give you the maximum profit when you can identify an obvious end of a correction. If you don't want to do that, or if it's being canceled out of your mind somehow, that you're thinking, no, I don't, anything that's coming up where that's been my observation, is I could get a room full of traders here right now and show them exactly how I get in and out right exactly at the precise moment and do it over and over. I can do it live with you. I could come over to your house and click your mouse for you. If it would help you, I would come over there and say, do you see that? Here's how you click the mouse I'm getting in. Do you understand that? Well, I realize that there's more to it than sometimes would meet the eye on an initial observation of what it is that I'm demonstrating. But even still, if anyone is having a conflict with that, the best thing for you to do is go away and do something else, because I'm not going to try to change that in you. I can help you, and I can show you ways that you could change it yourself so that you would want to get in when there is an end of a correction. I can help you with that. If you want to learn how to change whatever it is that's stopping you from wanting to get in when there is an end of a correction, that's something that I actually have a lot of experience with, and I do know how to do that. I can show you how to change what is stopping you from wanting to get in when there's an end of a correction. So let me know in the comments again if there's something that's stopping you that you don't want to get in when correction. Want to do something other than that. Check and see. Because if you want to get profit and do that over and over again, and you can look at a chart and see, do you see that? The only thing I could do is say, just keep looking at the chart until you realize that you do want to get in there. So then if you're in agreement that you do want to get in there, then the only thing, then we could move forward, seeing this thing on the Aussie yen, the Aussie Swiss. That is the precise phenomenon that happens when there's an end of a correction, and that's the thing that you would have to learn to identify, and that's what I could help you with, and that's what the market does. So if you're doing something that's not based on what the market does, then you probably won't get as good of a result. Okay, so I just happened to stop in here today, and I'll show you that's one of the trades that I just got in today. It's still good. I plan to stay in it for, you could kind of estimate, even based on this wave, as an estimate for how long this one would last. It may last this long or longer than that. I don't usually have to have a precise time target, because I can tell as it's going, what is it forming a trend, and I can tell if it's forming an end of a trend. So I can tell when it's forming an end of a correction, then I can tell if it's forming an end of a trend, and then I just keep doing that. So if you can read the market, then you could do that too. So does that make sense? That that would be something that you want to know how to do? So if you think that you should be able to learn to do it by watching one video, and then you become disillusioned or disappointed that you're not able to, maybe you're not able to do it after watching one video or something like that. Well, if you do practice it every day together with guidance through repetition over and over, you will develop a skill. How else would you do anything? If you wanted to learn how to do something like how to write a software program or something like that, you could watch one video, but until you actually develop a skill and practice it over a period of time together with other people who are assessing and guiding you, testing with you and showing you, things, then it might not actually happen unless you were willing to invest that time. So that's one of the trades we entered today, still in it. I'll show you later when I exit that, but it won't be right away. And another entered the Euro Aussie, the Euro Kiwi, which is right here. Oh man, it was so awesome. Every time I see these things, I just get so excited because I could see this coming for days, and we planned it. We were stalking it and looking for it to happen, and waiting and waiting and waiting. We know it's going to happen, and the news came out, and the Euro Kiwi was going up. If you were watching it, you know what I'm talking about. And some people went long, and maybe they also got some profit out of that. But when I saw this, I did not go long on that, because I could see this shape. It's all in the organic shape. It is a classic shape. 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom! And well, for those of you who don't know about the stuff that I'm describing here, that's okay. You don't necessarily need to know, but if you would like to know, I can show you. But this is like a daily thing, over and over and over. I just keep on doing it, and it's extremely satisfying and fulfilling. And it is wonderful to see what happens to a person's account when they keep on doing this. Can you imagine what could happen to your account if you develop the skill that the only time you ever entered a trade was when there was a turning point in the market? And why else would you ever enter a trade? Why would you ever enter a trade if there's not a turning point? You're sitting there, the market's not turning, you make up some reason to get in, and then it just messes around and drifts, and you're in the middle of something that's not an entry. But if you can identify these points, these are phenomenally excellent. I can look at this right now, and I can see this coming a mile away because I'm so familiar with this pattern, with this shape. We have an intimate relationship, me and the market. I know every curve that the market forms. I can see it, and I can show you how to see it. That's why it is so beautiful. It is a sexy thing to see a trend in the market and be able to identify the point where it's turning and be able to know when it's not turning. And even if you made a mistake, can you have a good trading career or a business in trading and still make mistakes? Of course. That's what is so liberating. You can have a mistake. So what? I have a mistake now and then. And a couple of times I tried to enter, and didn't work out. So what? When it did work out, then it's going to more than make up for that. So another pair we entered was the pound Kiwi. Let me know if there's any part of this you don't understand. We can go over it, and if you want to really know more, just sign up for our free training or join us in our live sessions, or whatever you would like. You don't have to. You don't want to, don't do it. But don't expect me to give you some additional sales pitch or anything. You know, if you want to do it, do it. And if you don't, don't. Because I have no additional sales pitch about this and don't really care whether anyone wants to do this or not. But for me, I love doing it. So the other thing was I got into a somewhat risky trade going short on gold. And it was from identifying this turning point. And again, on the 1 to 2 hour, I could see this coming a mile away, waiting and stalking it. Then one particular point, looked and said, okay, now it's making. That's what I do every day. And I love it. And I know that if you develop that skill, you will love it too. How could you not? Man, oh man. Anyone who could do this has to enjoy the hell out of it, because it is very satisfying and it really is fulfilling. So if we had more time, I could go further into all the details of how I can do that, and I can show you how to do it. But that is kind of outside of the scope of what we can do in this short live video. But I hope you have enjoyed it. If there is any part of this that you don't understand, if anything that you would like to go further into understanding more clearly, because this is a subject that I happen to enjoy, and having the unique experience that and it makes me feel so wonderful to have something to offer to people that can help them. And there are a few people who hear that call and maybe they tune out the stuff that's causing them to not believe it or whatever it is. It's, you know, shutting your brain off where you can't think, and something comes up and you go, well, that's just one of those things, or he's just trying to you know, whatever it is that you're doing. If it's something that's stopping you, well, wouldn't it be nice if you could learn to do this without having something that is stopping you, whatever it is? Consider that. And man, this has been an extremely profitable day, and what is more exciting is that I can see that the trades that I am in are likely to keep on going a bit. So let's see how that works out, and then I'll show you when I decide to exit the trade. And oh man, I can tell you one thing. When you are looking to enter a trade, it's really advantageous to be very selective about why you would enter a trade. When you're looking to exit a trade, it's even more essential to use total selectivity. Why would you exit a trade? Because if you get out too soon, you won't be able to just get back in. You think sometimes, oh, I'll just get back in if I get out or whatever. But there's usually one place where there's an excellent opportunity, and then if you stay in it on the time frame where the turning point formed, and you get out, if you go to a shorter time frame, get out, whatever, that's it. Probably won't be able to get back in because of a phenomenon that I have come to call the blasting effect. And I can show you more about that later. But it is a universal thing, and it always happens. And you can see it on the chart. If you look at a chart, you will see it. And I would love to show you more about that because it is another one of my passions. And now that these things that I have discovered from long periods of trial and error, they are things that I am very happy and very passionate about and would love to show it to other people. But only if you're really sincere. Well, I'm told that one person had a comment. Do you have any comment on shorting the Aussie and the Kiwi? And my comment would be, if you shorted the Euro Kiwi and the Euro Aussie earlier today when I showed this live, then that's what you should do. Now, the next time that there'll be an opportunity to get in, it's not as it's a bit tricky. But let's just say that if you go to the 1 hour, for instance, on the Euro Kiwi or the Euro Aussie, if you're looking to short the other direction, like on the Aussie dollar or the Kiwi dollar, I would say for now, don't do that. Just don't do that, because there's a long on the Aussie dollar and on the Kiwi dollar if you're looking at those. And the strategy is to stay in the long until this completes. And if I had a way of drawing on here, I would just draw that this wave probably going to go up this range here where my mouse is, could correspond to this wave over here to be about that size. So wait till, if there's an ABC shape or something like that, wait till that's formed. I can show you that later, but for now it's long on the Aussie dollar, on the Kiwi dollar, on the Aussie Swiss, on the Aussie yen, on the Kiwi Swiss, on the Kiwi yen, but short on the Euro Kiwi, on the Euro Aussie. And the trade is in the past and it's still going and it's going to continue, but to get in as it continues is a bit tricky. What you could do at this point, just as a possible advice on how you could get in if this continues, is to go to approximately the 1 hour and yeah, I don't have this template on here, and I can't actually show my other charts on this streaming platform because you have to set it up in advance, and not too swift on doing that on the fly. But if you go to the 1 hour and put on your charts, say, a basic stochastics oscillator, the next time, what would be your, I think like a 833 or something like that. And I don't really trade based on indicators, but I just know that if you go to the 1 hour during a blasting effect, which is what's happening, what's probably going to happen, and the next time that the stochastics get up into the overbought zone and reverses, that will probably be pointing right at the continuation. If you know that something is going to continue by the fact that you're reading it on the charts, that's a way that you can help to identify the point where it continues. So try it. go to the 1 hour, put a 833 stochastics on your chart. Next time it goes up, reverses. You see, I'm not using stochastics. I don't use it, but that's how you could get back in there. So another person is asking, you know, the Canadian yen is good today, and you don't want to get me started on that, but I don't trade Canadian pairs, and I can show you why, but until you get it, people will just keep on thinking that it's a good currency to trade, and it's not. So, but anyway, you know, if it's moving, if there's something else that's moving, like if it's the yen, or if it's the Canadian that's moving, it's probably because oil or something, but I just don't really get into that. Aussie Kiwi is something I also don't trade. I don't really care how the Aussie is moving against the Kiwi. I would only care how the Aussie and the Kiwi are moving against all the other currencies, but not how the Aussie is moving against the Kiwi. I just don't personally trade that, but I can tell you that the pairs that you choose are part of the process of how to trade, and I can show you more about why. I mean, yeah, the Canadian yen is going up, but if that's because of the Canadian, yeah, I think it is. It's so unreliable. I just personally think that there are other things that are more reliable. But anyway, that's great. That's great that the Canadian yen is going up, and you guys are seeing these things. And that's true. Those, the yen, euro. Good to know which currencies are strong and which currencies are weak. But in addition to that, if you can read the pattern and identify the turning point, that is really, really what's going to help you to break through and be able to trade. And man, it is excellent. So I hope you guys had a lot of fun today. And yeah, let's do this again. You guys who are making comments today, I would love to get more into what it is that you're trying to say there. And since I'm on here live, I can't actually see what you're saying, but I can get back to you later. So I gotta head out of here, and in just less than another hour, I'll be back live for our New York session. Not on YouTube, but in our daily sessions, and we are going to be starting to, you know, count our money from today's trades and project what it's going to be by the time it's over. So I can see there's going to be a lot of celebration this week, just like last week and every other week. Some weeks are better than others, but this week I know we are going to be having a big celebration. So join me in celebrating what's happening in the market this week. All this Boris Johnson shutting down Parliament, China maybe having some agreement with the U.S., maybe moving forward with talks, all these things moving the market. But I discover why the market's moving after I've made the money, because a lot of times I don't know why it's moving until afterwards. And some people would think, well, how can you do it if you don't know? Well, look at the news a few minutes after you see a turn, and you'll see why. But more accurate to see it on the chart, because the chart is very accurate. If there's a turn, it's turning. So trust that and believe it, and believe that you can trade. I don't care what anybody says. In fact, it's wonderful when people say you can't trade based on technicals or whatever people say. That's great. Okay. Alrighty, you can't trade based on looking at charts. Okay. But for me, that's the only way to trade. Fundamentals, it's like they're always a lagging thing there that is not super accurate, because you can try to figure out what's going on with the fundamentals, but when you look at a chart, you can see what's happening. If you develop the skill, be able to distinguish turning points from random fluctuations, and that is the skill that will enable you to trade for the rest of your life and keep on doing it over and over again. The ability to identify the difference between turning point on any time frame and a fluctuation of price. When it's moving and fluctuating, you go, that's not a turning point. And then boom, that is a turning point. All these things come together for a specific phenomenon that we have learned to identify with a fairly high degree of accuracy. So anyway, I won't ramble anymore for now, and I'll see you the next time right here live. The next time we do, well, in just an hour, I'll see some of you if you happen to be in our live sessions in a little while. Excellent. See you next time. Signing off with my tagline, whatever it is. Have fun and enjoy.